All right. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So as a recap of whatever we have seen, now you know, what are the Salesforce, what are the various cloud products, what do they do in the cloud, what are the services they provide, and they have like Lightning and Classic, and what is the difference in terms of the UI, and we talked about like what the administrator can do day in and day out in the office, uh, and what are the different editions they have, what are the user licenses. We have done some hands-on in creating the users, editing the users, updating the users, or activating or deactivating the users. And I also shared some of the tips for the interviews or the certifications or whatever the gotchas. You need to make sure that those are the tips and tricks that you need to know in terms of the user management. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So today is class 3. Okay. So uh, in this class, so we still need to catch up related to the administrator things. So for next few classes, we'll be talking only about the administrator related things. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing is another thing about the administrator. Cool thing about the administrator is, as an administrator, you will have to have a control on the instance or the org. Okay. Across your company wide, right? Like, okay, there are like few settings for the company wide settings. How do you manage that? How you can go and see it? Okay, like if you go here to the Salesforce, and we know now you know how to see all the administrator, right? Setup. This is the setup icon.
Okay.
This is where you switch and all those things. Even to the Lightning, or it doesn't really matter to the Lightning experience or the Classic experience. I switch to the Lightning. So if you switch to the Lightning, like you can see, there's a settings called a company settings. Okay. Let's say, for example, you want to have your company. So you as an administrator will be always having a control, and you want to have the company wide settings. How can you do that? Meaning, how many licenses your company has, how many licenses they are using, how many licenses that are still available. If you want to see all those things, where do you see that, right? So you should be able to get all those information. For example, like click on the company information. Okay, you can go on. So you know that what is your organization name and who is the primary contact for this org, and what is the address, or what division you are using this org, and what is that physical year it starts, like from January to January to December. Or some people, India, if you see in India, the physical year for a bank, they start from April, right?
No. Yeah.
From April to April, they say that April to March they have, and then the next calendar year it will start from April to March, right?
Yes.
So, when does the physical year starts? Like if your company is dealing with multiple currencies, you can activate the multiple currencies. And so, if you want to have the newsletter to be received from Salesforce, or if you want to receive any notices about, like whenever they log in, there will be, if Salesforce can thump the notification, there will be a scroll down bar notification saying that, hey, this is your maintenance time, and your system might be down at this time. They'll be doing after business hours always.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you want to hide that, you can hide it. If you want to hide the notices about downtime or system maintenance, you can hide it, or you can just leave it open so that the user will get the notifications. So those kind of things that you can have it in the company information, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the interview questions, or Salesforce certification questions will be like, how do you enable and the disable? Where can you go and enable the notification? This is one of the key important thing, about the system maintenance, because we don't manage the servers. It's all in the cloud. So they manage the servers. About the system maintenance or the downtime, how can you go and configure that? It's going to be in the company information. Okay, like you can you can even go and deactivate the entire org. Okay, the entire meaning you cannot delete it, but you can deactivate it. Okay. So if you see on the other hand, on the other side, like it's all the regular thing, like phone, fax. What is the default language that will be used in your org, or what will be your default locale, like the default locale insults, like like what is the location
Location.
of your org,
Yeah.
and what is the time zone, the default time zone. Okay, so what type of, when you're saying that multiple currencies you selected or whatever, what currencies your company is using, what is the primary currency? Okay, see, this is where you can go and see how much data space is available and how much is used. There will be again another question. See, you as an administrator, you want to know, like oh, okay, how much data space based on the license they provide, like, hey, these are the data spaces, that they cannot give unlimited data space. But if you are having unlimited edition, you can have that everything in unlimited. If you're a developer, for example, they can give the limits, and in that, like you can go and see, like how much percentage of it are used and how many percentage of file space are available. Okay, the data space and the file space, how many data space is available, how much of the file system space is available, and how much of the database that we are using, database space that we are using, all those things you can see it. Okay, that this is the data storage. When we're talking about the data storage, like this is the developer edition. You can go and see for any org. It could be whatever the various editions I shared with you in last class, correct?
Yeah.
So you can go and see, like how much is used. If somebody is accessing, if somebody is saying that okay, so one of the primary goal for the administrator, they'll have to keep an eye on this every single week or every single day to make sure that the org is up and running correctly. Okay, they don't want to have any interruption, right? If that is the case, if you find out that okay, the limit is, there are some limits and then we have reached this, then you have to proactively act, right, as an administrator. They will even ask in the interview, like hey, what you have done it in your previous company as an administrator. You can tell that hey, I manage users, I manage their securities, I manage the company-wide settings, like I always want to look at the storage space, how much is available, how much we need to purchase, or we need to manage the licenses and all those things. Okay, it will tell you, I already told you, like each individual items are the records, right, objects, right?
Yeah.
So if it is an object, every object will have a record. For example, right, employee is an object. Sai Kiran can be one of the employee. So Sai Kiran is an record, right?
Yeah.
Karthik is another record. Sam is another record. Paul is another record. Each record will have the unique data. Like you will have a different last name, I will have a different last name, I will have a different date of birth, you will have a different date of birth, all these things. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So so if you go here, they can even see, like what are the objects and total number of record counts, how much the database storage we are using, and how much percentage it's used. You see it here. So even you can manage by the users, how many users, or what are the type of users we have, and how each user is storing, like how much they're using the storage and all that. Okay. And even top users, you can even list, like hey, what are the top users for having the maximum using the data on the storage. Okay. So this is more of, yeah, when we're talking about the company-wide settings, you can even manage there, or like you can even identify how much data space is used or how much file space is used. Okay.
Okay.
And for example, if somebody is calling your org to get the data from the Salesforce database, so you can even enable the API request. How many people had made a request to your org to get to make the API? This is more of the developer. We will be talking about it when we are talking about when we are switching to the developer. But administrators has nothing to do here. But you can still good to know this, like the API request or the streaming events in last 24 hours, how much API request or the events that came inside, all those things you can manage. Okay, like okay, how many of them had tried to log in, like for example, you have like 9 to 5. After that, if somebody is logging, you can still know who is trying to log in. Okay, as an administrator, you can have a complete control. Okay, so I Kiran logged in at 9 p.m. in the evening. He's trying to log in at 9 p.m. in the evening. What is the necessity? Okay, and then it failed.
Okay.
All those things. Okay, so the same way, like the each Salesforce, one of the must to know is where can you find your org ID. Org is nothing but the organization ID. Here you can see it in the company information. What type of instance? This is where you know that what type of edition. When you're when you're talking about the org ID, you know where the org ID is. What type of org is that? Org edition is developer edition. We already talked about it, right? What are the different editions we have?
Yeah.
And this is like an instance where they are hosting. Which instance yours is hosted? The same instance, multiple people will be having that hosted in the same instance or same mission. Okay, like what time it was modified and all those things. And here, is it clear? Any questions?
Yes. No.
All right. And the same company informations, you'll be able to see like the user licenses. Okay, what are the licenses that we have as a company, like a gold partner or anything? How many total number of licenses we are having, how many licenses we used, and what are the remaining licenses? Like for example, if you want to have build a community page, there is a community cloud, community partner pages. You can have like 5 licenses, 5 users can be created, and these many licenses we used and these many licenses are remaining. Or whenever there are new users are coming in, you'll have to see what is their functionality, what type of platform or the feature that users will be using. Are we having enough license to handle that? If not, what is the option? These are all the things that administrator will be doing technically, right?
Oh, yeah.
You see here the silver partner, gold partner, Salesforce platform, all those things. Like if it's a Salesforce, we can create only 2 licenses, 2 users. Currently, I'm using only 1 user and the remaining is 1. Okay. So there are like various features and how many licenses we have, remaining licenses. As an administrator, you can manage all those. Is it clear?
Yeah.
All right. So leave this permission set aside. The permission, you need to know basically what is permission set. Okay, I will take a class tomorrow about permission set, profiles, roles. These 3 are interrelated. Okay, until you know what the roles can do or what the profiles can do, it's very hard to understand the permission sets. Okay, but you understand now where the licenses can be seen and then configured. This is the permission set licenses. Okay, you can create like various permission sets, and each of them will have their own licenses. For example, the internet of users, internet of things users, it is disabled now in this org. I cannot even use it. It's called like 00. I don't have any licenses to do with internet of things. They don't provide in the developer editions. Okay, otherwise you can have, these are all the out of box field service scheduling. How much scheduler, like the users can be like they can be treated as a scheduler. How many mobile services you can have. So these are the number of license. Permission sets are something overriding the profile values. Okay, I'll tell you what is permission sets. I'll explain in detail manner what is permission sets, but this is where you can see the licenses. Okay.
Okay.
And the below is that like these are the list of features like marketing cloud, like knowledge base. Knowledge base is nothing but knowledge user is nothing but the knowledge base, or like it's kind of guide portal. Service cloud user, chatter users. So these are the how much chatter users we can have. How much CRM content users we can have. From these editions, I can have maximum 5 users. The total licenses. So these are all the user licenses based on the feature. For this feature, how many licenses we have and how many of them are used and how many is remaining. Okay, but this is the user licenses. It's like a platform per platform. This is the feature licenses. So Salesforce is selling certain licenses with the feature. If you need this feature, you need to have these licenses. Okay, but this is platform as a whole. Salesforce platform or work.com, or like if you want to be a silver partner, you have to be a gold partner. This many licenses you can have on all that. Okay. All right. So the other thing is like the usage based entitlements. Like if you want to configure the workflow, like how the frequency of the workflow, how many workflows you can be created. As scheduling jobs or anything, monthly you can create like 20,000, or like without UI, you don't have the UI information like user interface. You can directly call through the API. How much you can create? Like 100,000 is allowed. Okay. Or if you want to have like the workflow to be like to stop the workflow and then to automatically recreate the workflow, the frequency is like once, and you can create like 5,000 workflows. So these are the entitlement. When you say entitlement, these are the special licenses for the resources. Okay.
Okay.
You don't have to focus on much on this area, but this is like completely whenever we are using the particular resources, we are not using any resources at this point of time. So basically, these are the company informations where it provides all the company related data. Like for example, how do you set your time zone? Is it possible to have multiple currencies, right? So these are the important things. Yes, your company can have multiple currencies. How much data? How do you get the data space? How can you see the data space? Everything can be seen in the company information. Is it all clear?
Yes,
if you just click on this and then go through that, and then you'll be able to catch it up. All right. So this is the company information, right? And you can set the business hours for your company. For example, call centers, they'll be doing 9 to 7. Sorry, 24/7. There are like few businesses. If it is a law firm, they are saying that hey, my business is between 9 to 5. That's all. The reason why we are setting the new business hours is we have to set the new business hours. And if you want to send any notifications, for example, see here, this is the business hours name, and you can set the time zone. And these are the business hours that each day we will be working on. So none of the jobs or notifications or automatic scheduled jobs will get triggered during the non-business hours. Okay. So if you want certain things to be executed only the business hours, the whole org knows what is the business hours for this org. Okay. If we don't want to send email to you during Saturday and Sunday, because those are the non-business hours. Email in sense, like even the workflow notifications. Hey, you have reached. There are like list of tasks in your queue. It will not send. It will send only on the Monday. In that case, so these are the things that you can set up in your org with the business hours and what is the time zone and what are the business based on your business operations. You can limit what are the business hours. Okay. So if you enter blank business hours for a day, like if you just keep it that means that your organization does not operate on that day. So
on weekends,
right? If you want a 12 to 4 hours, you can set it up, or if you want to have it as 12 hours, you can set it up. Okay. So if you want to work like 24 hours on Sunday, you can just even select this. Okay. So you can even set like, hey, these are the business hours as default. This is going to be my default business hours. You can set it up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So if you see there, like, if you want to have like, the public calendar or like, the public calendar or like, the private calendar, you can have your own calendars created and you can share your calendars with anybody. Okay. Like for example, if you want to have a calendar having the number of holidays. Okay. So you can just set up all those things in the public calendar, and then you can share this with all the employees. Okay. And you can have the sharing rules and you can set it up and then you can have it. Okay. You can just keep adding the data related to that. Okay. So this is tied up with how you want to manage your calendar for the company. Okay. So the other thing is one of the important thing is the fiscal year, right? This is where you go and set up the fiscal year. If you want to have the fiscal year from January to December, you can go and set it up. But few people like in the banks, they have like March to June, right? April to June. They'll start in June and then they will end in April, right? For example, in India. But here in US, it's all from January to December. So your organization can change the fiscal year start month and specify the start month is fine because they'll calculate the 12 months from there. Okay. For example, if your fiscal year starts in April 2019 and ends in March 2020, your fiscal year settings can be either 2019 or 2020. Okay. So whatever, so your fiscal year is based on the start month or the end month. You can select the month and you can say based on the starting month or the ending month and all that. Okay. And you can even create your own custom fiscal year. If you create your own custom fiscal year, you cannot switch back to the standard fiscal year. Like, okay, enabling you can define the custom fiscal year that matches your company financial planning requirements. Like, it's all about the plannings, financial planning requirements and everything, right? So after enabling the custom physical year, your organization physical years will no longer be automatically defined by Salesforce.com. The only physical years available for reports, quotas, forecast, or anything will be defined by your organization. Salesforce will not involve in your custom physical year at all. Okay, if you don't use the standard physical year and you are just setting there. So for example, they are calculating the 12 months in a year. If you want to have like, hey, okay, my physical year starts this and then my physical year ends within the 12 months. Like, I am just going to have like 5 months period, right? Or like, you can have a template like, my first quarter is going to be like, not 333. It could be like, like the physical year, it has like 4 equal quarters, each with a 4-4-5 structure, 2 4 weeks month and a 5-week month. So you can even set it up like, however you want. Like each quarter will have like 4 weeks and 5 weeks. If you want to have like, my first quarter is going to have like 5 weeks, you can have it. But in that case, it is going to be the custom physical year. And the Salesforce will not, you cannot roll back to the standard physical year, and the Salesforce does not have it. Will no longer be automatically defined by Salesforce.com. See here, enabling custom physical year is not reversible. After enabling the custom physical years, you cannot revert to the standard physical years. This is must question in any interview or in the certification. Because these are the little things like, hey, you can set the physical year and I can skip to the next topic, or maybe we can keep going. But these are the very few things that we need to go much deeper to learn in deeper level as an administrator. So like, when they're asking like, hey, what are the administrator you have done, you can tell that, we set up a physical years and what are the challenges you have run through. You can even just make it up in the interview. Like, hey, we have created a custom physical year and then we were not able to revert back. Salesforce doesn't allow us to revert back to the standard physical year and all those things. So they knew that you're familiar with the platform, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So these are the little things that you need to keep track of it, and then, keep in your mind, and then try to expose these things with additional to the regular interview questions, or like, this will add a flavor if you get to know all of these informations. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're having a standard physical year and if you have your settings with the quotas or the financial planning and all those things, everything will be deleted when you switch to the custom physical year. If you have, that's what they say, if you have forecasting features enabled or creating our initial custom physical year, deletes all quotas and adjustments from the year forward. So when you're just switching the following year or like, the custom physical year, everything will be deleted. Okay. So it's always recommended to use the standard physical year. That's what Salesforce says, unless or until absolutely it's necessary to use the custom physical year. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then
holidays.
So if you have these critical updates, you can see whatever in your org there are critical updates. Either you can just go and review and then you can activate it. If you don't want to have this updates on your org, it's like the same thing. Like the iOS, right? They said that iOS is updated. iOS 11 is available. Do you want to? No, remind me tomorrow or deactivate it. I'm fine with this. Same thing with the Firefox. Whenever any browser is getting updated, they'll ask you to update, right?
Yes.
So whenever it's released, like they have mostly they'll be having an auto activation. If you want auto activation means that will activate on the particular day automatically and it will be activated. Okay. If you don't want to activate, you can deactivate them, or if you want to activate, you can go and click on that and then activate it. Okay. So it will eventually whatever the updates that they are doing will be applied to your org. Okay. Like this is the developer org, but think about the production environment. You don't want to go and keep everything activated, right? We do not know what is going to break. So you'll have to make sure that, what you have to, as an administrator, you have to go through this update information and update summary. What is the purpose of this? How it can impact your feature, how it can impact the functionality, and then does it activate it? Okay, you'll have to activate in your lower environment like developer or like the test box or the sandbox or the test environment, and then to the production org. Validate it, test it, and then activate in the production org. That will be the major role for the administrator. What the system, how the system is getting upgraded, and what are the release that's came in from the Salesforce. Do we need to adapt to that changes? How does it going to impact our existing features, functionalities, and all those? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. This is just a regular disclaimer about the data protection policies. Okay, so if you want to have a different message that you can update, or you can disable it, make data protection details available in records. So this is just very minor. And this is what you set up the physical year. We already spoke about it. And there is a holidays, and you can set up the holidays. Like, hey, what are the holidays that you have? And you can set up like holiday name descriptions from what time to what time and all that. Because during this holiday time, none of your jobs will be executed.
Yeah.
None of your business jobs or any business rules will not be executed. Okay. The holidays are the dates at the time the business hours are suspended. Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to have the escalation cannot happen. Escalation rules associated with this business hours. Like for example, if we when we're talking about the workflow, when we're talking about the case, I will tell you when there is a new task coming in to some people, and they have like 7 days to complete this task, right? The manager had set it up as 7 days. Okay, your 7th day is this is a holiday. It's like July 4th as an example. Okay, and you will have a escalation rule telling that, okay, if this guy did not complete the task in 7 days, notify me. Manager can set it up, right? So 7 days on July 4th, 7th day is July 4th. On July 4th, it doesn't mean that Sai did not complete his work and then escalate it to the manager, because it's a holiday.
Okay.
So it has to wait for 1 more day. So the system take care of itself. It doesn't send any notifications or the escalation rules or anything associated with the business hours. Will be suspended. Enter the dates and times to which suspend business hours and escalation rules associated with the business hours. Okay. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the language settings. It's like, you can enable multiple languages, and then, whatever the languages you want to display, you can add it to a company, and you can tell that, these are all the languages that I can support and everything, and then you can manage the languages here. All right. The next one is more interesting, which is like my domain. In order for your org to work in the Lightning, you must have your org. You must have your own domain. Can you tell me what is your domain? What do you see it at the top in your developer? Or you want to look it up later?
No. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So whatever you see it in this URL, what do you see it in this URL?
Okay. Oh, that's my domain, right?
Yeah, that's a domain. But what do you see here? What do you see in your domain, in your org, in your developer edition?
Oh, so I need to log in it right now.
Right. Just log in and tell me.
Do you want me to say it?
Are you trying to log in?
Yeah. But it's showing some different message. So.
Okay, no problem. So probably you'll be having something like NA, SA kind of thing. Okay, you will not be having your own name like Sai Kiran or whatever.
I'll just say you by the end of this.
Say again, sorry.
I'll just say you by the end of the class.
Yeah, no problem, no worries. So, so you need to have your own domain, right? Your company domain. Only then your lightning components will work. Otherwise, the lightning components will not work as expected, because the lightning components are enabled based on the domain name. So we need to have the domain name, and they capture this data to provide the lightning components to work. So, but you can manage your domain, my domain, in the company settings, where you can see here, my domain name is this. I can even edit, and if I want to update my domain name, I can even go and check here. See here, they're letting us to edit. Okay. And then you can go and check and then see, validate, and if this is available, they will give. If not, they will tell that it's not available. Okay.
Same
so,
as our
Gmail. Here, if I want to prevent login.salesforce.com, I can prevent it. If somebody wants to use login.salesforce.com, I can prevent it. They will always need to use my domain name, like company.login.force.com. That's what most company will do. Like say that the company name.com, they will do that. That's what the Salesforce, because they want to have their own branding, right? They don't want to go to the login.salesforce.com. So this is like preventing the login policy. Prevent login from login.salesforce.com. It will prevent. Okay. So, and then once they successfully log in, do we need to redirect to the same page with the domain, or do we need to redirect with the warning that with the warning to the same page with the domain, like saying that okay, so you'll have to use your company domain, okay, or you don't have to redirect your domain. You can still stick with your instance NA or whatever. So you can do all this. Like for example, I'm just once I log in, okay, let me tell you here what I'm talking about. I logged out, right? Log out. So now I logged out. Okay. You see here, I'm trying to, this is my domain. I'm not using my domain. I'm using login.salesforce.com. Okay. And I'm using my username. And when I'm logging in, you see when I'm logging in, you see here, it's getting redirected to the salesforcelightning.com. Okay, so this is what they're talking about. Do you want to redirect or you don't want to redirect? That's what you want to stick with the default one, like login.salesforce.com, right? This is a username. I'm going to use it. And login.salesforce.com. Here, as soon as I even click on the login, it gets redirected. Okay. And then once they log in, what do they want to do? They want to redirect or I don't want to redirect. That's what they're talking about. It's getting redirected. Okay. It's getting redirected to the lightning.force.com. So that is what it's about, the my domain. Next class, I want, or next class, or the next week, by next week, you want to have your own domain, set it up by yourself. Okay. It's very easy. Company, go to my domain, and then it will tell you the list of steps. Choose your domain. You can choose your domain, and the registration will be in pending. They'll tell you what is happening, and it's ready for the testing, and it's deployed, and then it's ready for the users. Okay. So you can prevent it or decide whether to redirect anyone. If they have used the bookmarks or anything like that, we can automatically redirect. And this is my domain name. Okay. All right. So how do you want to have your login page? Like standard, they have various login pages. You can even do your own custom login pages. Okay. And so you want to generally use the login form, or it's like a standard, whatever, the logo file. If you want to replace your Salesforce logo with your company logo, you can still do that. Okay. So it's like most enterprise companies, it will be like their org. Okay. They will not have the Salesforce here. They will have, like, for example, McDonald logo will be here.
Okay.
But these guys are just providing the cloud and they're hosting it. But the visually, whatever it's represented will be like, the McDonald or whatever. You can even change the background color, and you can change the frame color and all those things. Okay. What are the native browsers that you'll be using? Use the native browser for the user's authentication on Android or iOS. Okay, native browser means you can only use Safari. That's the native browser for iOS.
Yeah, iOS.
Google is the native browser for the Android. So use that's I mean that'll be the native browsers. You can just select all these settings using the My Domain. Okay. Is everything clear with the settings or with related to the company settings, whatever we spoke? Any questions?
No, I think so.
Okay. All right. So the next thing that we are going to talk about is the data. Okay. So the reason is like, I just don't want to go like, by looking at straight only about the users and all that. I am taking the class more practical way, what the administrator will do, what are the things that you can manage, and how the users can be managed, and at the same time, how the data will be managed and all that. So that, you can just connect the dots. We don't have to go by the books saying that, user, topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. Okay, next topic 1, 2, 3. No, my way of training is more of the practically oriented thing, like what is happening in the company in the real-time environment and how they are managing it, so that you can connect the dots. Okay, he told that these are the administrators work. They can manage the company settings, my domains, users, and also the data. Okay, we still need to talk about I'll be coming and talking about discussing about you with you, like what are the profiles, roles, and everything. Okay. But now you know how to create the users and the user management settings. We saw that. Okay. So because I don't want to start with the permission sets until you know that what is users. It doesn't make any sense. So that is why it's like you have, that is more important. The flow is more important. How do you learn? The learning process is more important with the direction that I take you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about data. Like we have like 10 more minutes, whatever. Like let's talk about the data. All right. What is data? The data is nothing but a piece of information. So we saw the company settings and related topics, physical year and all those things. Now you are aware of it. And where to see the database storage or everything. Okay. That comes to include all the company settings and everything. Okay. Now let's talk about the data. Right. What is data? It's a piece of information. Piece of information is a data. Okay. In Salesforce, how the data is stored? Data is all stored in the format of objects, right?
Yeah.
And the blueprint of the object is called the records. Okay. Like say for example, if you go here, I go to the sales. I go to the sales. And here are the accounts. So these are the bunch of accounts that I have. Okay. Like United Edge Communications, or if I want to see all accounts, you can even see all accounts. Okay. Okay. The most important thing is when you're talking about the administrators things, these are all the tabs which we shared. Okay. And when these are the objects. When you click on the objects, you can see all the records. When you're seeing all the records, like whatever recently viewed, these are the recently viewed, or you can even see all accounts, or whatever was created new this week, or whatever was created last week, or whatever was recently viewed based on the accounts. Okay. Like you can have the various list views. Okay. I'm clicking on all accounts. So these are all the all accounts. Let's say, for example, United Oil and Gas Corporations. This is an object where this is a record. United Oil. United will have like what type of customer is that? What is the phone number of that account? What is the website? So these are all the individual fields. Okay. So think of an object. It's like a spreadsheet. Okay. Think of records as each row in a spreadsheet. Okay. And think of columns. Oh, the fields. Fields are nothing but the columns of spreadsheet. So in this way, you can easily remember, okay, what are the objects, what are the records, what are the fields. Okay, like if you see here, everything in the Salesforce is an object. Okay. Like for example, how do you go and see the list of objects? That's the first thing, right? Administrator can manage all the objects. They can click on the setup and you can see the objects. This is the object manager. Yeah. You click on the object manager, you can see all the objects that is available. All the objects that is available. These are all the object account as an example. When you see the account, these are the important informations that are related with this object, which is called the account. Our first thing that we're talking about is the fields, right? You need to have the fields. These are the fields: account name, account number, who is the account owner, account site. Like it will have like, status, created by DNB company, how many employees are there in the account, what type of industry is this account is, what is the fax number, all those things. So this is the object and these are the fields. Each field will have a label and the field name and what type of data is that. Either that field can have the number or it can have a text or it can have a currency. Like, the revenue. The revenue cannot be in just in that plain text like Sai Kiran. You cannot put the Sai Kiran in the annual revenue. It has to be the currency, right? What is the revenue?
Yeah.
Like billing address. So these are all the data type. Whenever we say, like, the data, piece of data, right? Each data will be as a data type, right? Each data will have its own data type. Will have its own data type. For example, what is your age? 32. 32 is your number, right? You cannot say ABCD is my age if you have the text. So you have to have it as a number, right? And how many characters you can have? Maximum I can have like, 3 characters, maximum 100 years or 999 years you can live, right? Yeah. Maximum. You don't want to set it as like, like 7 digits. Nobody's going to live up to 7 digits. So these are all the things like, how you can define your data, what type of data it can be. Address, phone number. Phone number should be in the format of like 234-098-6754. This is the format, right? You cannot have the format of like, like this. The phone number is not going to work out. So these are all called the data types. How your data can represent. Those are called the data types. Are you clear with what is data and what is data type?
Yeah.
There are various data types. For example, if you want to save your file, those are called the blobs, right? Blob objects, the physical file. If you want to save your Word document, those are all the file system. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a Java background, Sai? Or what is your background?
Like a security side.
Oh, security and networking kind of thing. Okay, that's fine. So I just want to make sure that you have the data type or anything. Like, for example, it could be data type could be an integer. Integer is nothing but a number, I said. Number, right? Or if you want to have your address, it could be even the plain text, right?
Text.
If you want to have your phone number, it can be like, the different formats, whatever I said. Okay. Format with the number. So these are all the type of data we can have. Salesforce itself is providing so much of data type. Okay. We will go through that. Email should be like, for example, sai.kiran@gmail.com. This is the proper email address, right? If you just say at G, there is no such thing called such thing like at G, right? If you don't have at and Gmail, it's still wrong, right? It has its own data type, right? The what type of data and how the data can be saved and what type of data it can be stored in that particular field. Each field will have its own data type. Are you able to follow me?
Yeah. Yes.
Each field will have its own data type, right? That is what it is. Field name, data type. Each field will have its own data type. For example, account number, it has the text of 40 digits. Okay, we'll be talking about what is lookup and all that. I'll continue in the next class, tomorrow's class. Okay, billing address, they have the address. Okay, for example, like a description. It can have a long text area. It can have more than 20 characters. Text will have like 20 characters, maximum of 255 characters. It can have 32,000 characters. If you want to write a big story about the description, number of employees, it's just a number, maximum of 8 digits. Facts, it's going to be in the facts. Industry, it's a pick list. What is called a pick list? Okay.
From a particular checkbox, we can pick it.
Yeah, multiple list. That's what it is. If industry could be like hospitality industry, healthcare industry, finance industry, or anything that you can have, like you can go and select. You can pick from the list. That is what the pick list is all about. Okay, we'll be talking about everything. Like, tomorrow we are going to create a new object and fields. We will add the existing fields and all this, and then we'll move forward. Okay.
Okay.
So now, as a recap for today's class, we talked about all the company-wide settings, what the company can do, how you can save the data, how we can see the data, how much they used, what are the licenses they used. Physical years, we talked about holiday hours, business hours, and we did talk about like my domain, how you can create your own domain and all that. And when you're talking about the data, it's all saved in the format of objects, records, fields, data. Each field will have its own data type, and we have seen some of the objects. Okay, there are like two type of objects. Two types of objects. Okay, one is called the standard objects. Second, the other one is the custom objects. The standard objects are nothing but the out-of-box objects that is available. That is available as part of Salesforce. Custom object is user-defined objects,
which we created.
Yes. Custom objects user-defined. For example, right now, they define like, they have the accounts, contacts, and everything. You are executing a car company. You're selling cars. Tesla. You're owning a Tesla. You want to create your own object, right? So I think I gave you the information during the demo class. Like you can have a car, and a car can have the bunch of fields. So those will be the custom objects. We'll be talking about in detail tomorrow. Okay, like what are the standard objects, what are the custom objects, and how we can create a field. We can create an object and add the fields, and how one object can be related to the other objects, relationships, and all those things. It will be more interesting. Okay.
Okay.
So, what is your feedback of the class so far?
Yeah, good so far. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can we create our own data type, like as you said?
To create your own data type? No, you cannot create your own data type. You have to just stick with the data type that they are providing, because it has to be saved in the database. Okay. I mean, there is no necessity to create a data type at all, because they have all the combinations of having the data type.
Oh.
Maximum you can save a number, they have a number. You can save the text, they have the text. You want to save like large data, they have the long text. If you want to save the file, they have the file system. If you want to look up another field from another table, another object, another various field from another object, they have the lookup relationships. Okay. So it is all available. There's no necessity to create any data type at all. Okay. That's the internal mechanisms to save, to hold their data and then the data types. Okay.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions?
Nothing. So.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Soy. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Bye.
sure. Bye.